I'ma come a little different. But I tell her, free real start federal. Hey, let's get it. Let go, let go, let go.
Welcome back. Episode trace of the Lunch Table Podcast. I'm Davo. That's Chabo, and we're ready to roll. There's plenty to talk about. We had the NBA draft. We had U.S. soccer lose to Panama. Man, we are going to go on a rant. We're also going to list the top 5 best uniforms of all time. You're not going to want to miss that. So there's plenty to watch for and plenty to listen to in this one, but we're going to get it kicking with the NBA draft. Of course, Bronny James is selected with the 55th overall pick to the Los Angeles Lakers. Tabo, we've talked about this and we loosely mentioned it in the previous episodes, but now that it is official, what do you think?
I love it, man. I love it. 55th pick ain't gonna hurt nobody, so I'm glad Bronny went to the Lakers. I'm glad that the Lakers, invested in him for the right reasons, I'm Rich Paul being an agent that I watch a lot of and I'm a big fan of. I like the way he handled it to a degree and the way he treats Bronny, and the way Bronny just kind of carries himself. Bronny doesn't walk around talking about James's last name. He walks around as just a regular guy at the NBA draft that's just trying to get picked. And luckily for him, he did. So I love the move. I think the Lakers had a phenomenal draft night. I'm a big fan of they had first round pick, second round pick, and they went 2 for 2 in my book. So, I'm very glad they picked Bronny at 55. I think it makes for a great story. And, you can't look in my eyes and tell me Bronny doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And look, we talked about JJ Redick and that hire, and I was pretty critical of that hire. But I'm going to say this. I have flipped 180 on the Lakers. I texted you. Drafting Bronny James to me was such a huge win. And I know there's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of skeptics saying, oh, well, he only averages 4.8 points a game. And they look at the numbers.
Right.
But, man, this is so much bigger than what Bronny James is going to bring to a basketball court. You're talking about deals. You're talking about the best player on the planet now with a rejuvenized energy on the court. I love it. And I'll say this, too, about Bronny. I look at it, is he the best scorer? Of course not, but he's only 19 years old.
Right.
He's got a good 6'2" frame if he can learn how to be more pure guard. And, man, defensively, we've seen a lot of good things from him. I think he can be a lockdown perimeter defender, and we've seen some chase downs as well, both with him at USC. And he hooped at Sierra Canyon. So, yeah, I really like the pick. And, man, it's going to be a fun time in LA.
I like it. And what else that you said? I mean, is Bronny the best scorer? No. Is he the best playmaker right now? No. Is he a complete defender with a 6'2" frame? No. But here's my point. You're not getting the best at anything at the 55th pick.
Exactly.
All you're doing is putting $1 in the investment at the 55th pick. That's all you're doing. It's just investing.
Yeah.
Why would you not invest in a guy like you just said is going to bring so much attention to the biggest brand in professional basketball? If you're not getting, you can say, oh, he's not the best scorer. The guy that picked at 56 is a better defender here or a better shooter here. Nobody is bringing more value to the table at the 55th pick than Bronny James. So it's like you can't, if you hate on it, you can hate, but you can't prove anybody is more valuable. So I like you. I agree, and I'm glad we agree. Shout out to Bronny. I'm glad you came around on the JJ train a little bit. I'm just a big. I've never been a Laker fan, quote unquote, but I remember back when they got the Steve Nash and Dwight Howard that summer. I've always paid attention to the way the Lakers have tried to evolve their brand and adapt their brand. So even when they didn't have LeBron, when I was watching, when I was not. So I'm really glad they JJ Redick, Dalton Knecht, and Bronny James. That's a heck of a 2 weeks. I like the direction they're heading.
Yeah, no, it is. And my last point with Bronny, the best LeBron James we have seen in his career is a determined LeBron James. You look at him with the Heat when he was trying to chase his first ring, man, he was so determined. When he's angry, when he's playing with a clear purpose, he's just a different animal on the court. And now for LeBron, you put his son on the same team. LeBron's already experienced every level of success. He's got 4 rings. He's got finals MVPs. He's got the MVPs in the regular season. But now you look over to the bench and you see your son. If that doesn't give you something to play for, I don't know what will. That was the biggest thing when they drafted him, is I said, oh, shoot, the Western Conference better look out because LeBron James in year 20 plus
Mm-hmm.
is about to be way different in the best way possible.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Way different in the best way possible. Yeah, couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. And this draft, too, it was kind of weird because you look at the first pick with the Hawks. Obviously, they draft Zachary Risache, and, we'll get into that. An interesting pick. Not that I think the Hawks made the wrong pick,
Right.
but, there's a lot of talk around this draft being a lot weaker than previous years. So, my next question is, who was your steal of the draft?
Steal of the draft. I figure I know what your answer is going to be, Debo, so I don't want to steal
Yeah,
your
yeah.
answer at 17. Let me think. I like a couple guys out of the second round in that late 40 area. I like my boy Antonio Reeves from Kentucky. I mean that he's been a professional level scorer since before he got to Kentucky when he was at Illinois State. So I mean he's a pro level scorer. I think you're gonna see some summer league games where if he gets 20 plus minutes, he's gonna get you double figures really consistently. I think he's headed over to New Orleans and the Pelicans. And then I like that kid Tristan Newton from UConn. I mean, everybody loves Donovan Clingan. Dan Hurley's a phenomenal coach, but Tristan Newton was a huge reason that UConn team ran for not 1 year, but 2+ years. And so, I mean, he's the 49th pick going over to Indiana and the Pacers. When we talked about second round picks, these guys a lot of time don't get true investment, but those two guys, Reeves and Newton, if the reason the teams picked them is the reason I'm holding them to a high standard, I think they're going to get some great production out of those two guys. I like both of them a lot.
No, I don't disagree. Antonio Reeves, he was cold
Oh,
at Kentucky. I mean, he is a bona fide scorer. When he
yeah.
steps on the court, he's explosive. So, I completely agree with you. And I know you just mentioned the 17th pick. I'm assuming that you also agree with me in saying Dalton Connect was a huge steal. In my eyes, he was the biggest steal of the draft. And I tweeted this before the 17th pick even rolled around. I think I tweeted it before the draft even started. Said Dalton Connect will be the biggest steal for whoever gets them. Because you look at this guy, SEC Player of the Year, consensus All-American, 6'5" frame. He can shoot the ball well, 39% from deep. That's a good mark.
Yeah.
And, that might dip down a bit in the NBA, but he's still a good shooter. He can create off the dribble. He
Mhm.
started at a JUCO college. This guy was not recruited highly at all. So he's got that grit to him, obviously. Played over at Northern Colorado and then transferred to Tennessee in that final year. Look at him. What can't he do as a scorer? Yes, the Lakers have Austin Reeves. But
Yeah.
when you draft Connect, to me, it's just a better version of Austin Reeves. I think Connect can do a lot of things on the floor.
Yeah.
And he's got the best nickname, arguably, already in the NBA, bro.
Connect
Connect
four.
Four?
Connect four, man. You can't beat that. Yeah,
That's so tough.
I love the Connect pick. I mean, there's guys that went top 10 that aren't better than Dalton Connect. So I think it's one of them situations where I remember watching the draft as a younger kid and even watching the draft now. You get to certain picks outside that lottery, and you're sitting there going, that guy's a bona fide lottery pick. Why is nobody taking him? So when I saw the Lakers roll around to 17 and Connect was still on the board, it was one of them situations where I'm like, all right, y'all, let's make the right call, easy call, blessing call. And they picked Dalton Connect. So I mean, I love it. I think that's a guy that when you're a team like the Lakers who know they weren't in a conference finals or anything, but if you got LeBron James and AD, you're a contender to some degree. So if you throw the SEC Player of the Year shooting a 39% clip and not only a 39% clip, we got to go look at the amount of threes Buddy shot. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he shot
True.
100 and made 39. Like he shot a lot of three balls. And so to shoot a lot of three balls in a lot of double team sets when he was getting a lot of attention at Tennessee, I wouldn't be surprised if his 3-point clip stayed in that 35-40 range because he's shooting less jumpers, but he's getting less defensive attention because he's not the guy on the Lakers like he was in Tennessee. So I love it. I think Dalton's a phenomenal player as a Kentucky fan. I hated playing that Joker or, watching him play Kentucky. But now that I'm a Laker, indirect fan, I'm gonna be pulling for him. So shout out to Dalton Connect, bro.
Bro, I am pulling for the Lakers this year. I mean, for LeBron, of course, I want to see him get another ring. It's dope with Bronny now. Don't connect. He also averaged over 20 a game. He was close to 5 boards a game. His frame is another asset to me. Where I saw some of the draft analytics and they were kind of looking into Connect saying he's not a very good defender. He'll likely get bullied a bit. But it's kind of the same thing with Luka to me, where are they the best defenders right now? No. But if you're 6'5", you can do something on the floor and you can
Right.
sure as heck get a lot better when you're that big. So I'm not worried about him on the defensive end. I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Man, it's just such a steal pick. I still can't believe that he dropped that low. Really.
I know it. Yeah, exactly. The draft has gotten weirder and weirder. Like when you mentioned earlier, people on Bronny's case for averaging 4 or 5 points at USC. There's a guy that went in the 20s. I can't remember his first name. I mean, he went in the 20s. He played in Australia last year, and Buddy averaged like 2.8 points a game. So I'm like,
I can't.
if he's not going to be talked about, and he's not going to be talked about because his name's not Bronny James, but he's averaging 2 points a game going 20. Bronny averaging 5 points a game going 55, and we tripping on 55. Come on, So yeah. So if you're Dalton Connect, you average 20 points a game in the SEC. You came from JUCO basketball. You got enough dog in you to produce a little bit on the defensive end of the Laker court. So I agree with you. I ain't got to worry about him.
Yeah. And man, one last thing for Bronny, because you mentioning that made me think of something else. When you have the 55th pick and you're the Lakers, put yourself in their shoes.
Mhm.
You can ask the question, why would you draft Bronny? I'll flip that question around and say, why wouldn't you draft Bronny? What is your reasoning for not? I've seen some posts where, they'll post some other dude on USC that had more points. But the truth of the matter is those dudes are not necessarily NBA prospects. They're good. They played well in college. But
Right.
Bronny James brings too much to the table to just, oh no, we're not going to draft him because he only had 4 points a game. Who gives a rip? I don't give a crap, bro.
The NBA is not about what you like. The NBA draft specifically, these teams, it doesn't really matter what you've done, bro. It's what they think you can do. I mean, there's a guy.
Exactly right.
You go a couple years ago, 4th overall pick, Patrick Williams out of Florida State. But he didn't produce nothing at Florida State on the scoring end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's the 4th pick. That's like we comparing the 55th pick to the 4th pick. If anybody can tell me any 55th pick from the past 55 years, I'll shut up, but we yapping about Bronny James, man. It's just he going to the Lakers. He a good basketball player. He's not going to produce at a high NBA level in the next couple of years because he's 19 and he's 6'2" and he yada, yada, yada. That's what the 55th pick is for. You get a little bit of value
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
you develop, so he'll be fine. But, I'm not doing an unsweet tea rant today, so I'm going to pop my
Just get it out, man.
Yeah, I'll talk about these topics. But yeah, shout out Bronny James.
No, I love it. Next question. Who to you as a team had the best draft? I know we've talked a lot about the Lakers. I don't know if that is your answer, but for me, I know who I'm rocking with, but I'm curious because we mentioned this before we even started podcasts and, didn't get a clear answer. So I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I figure I know who you're gonna say, so I'm gonna leave that alone. I can say the easy answer and say the Lakers. Like I said, you got a first round pick, you got a second round pick, you got a lot of value out of both of them, which is impressive. So, I think that's a good night for the Lakers. I mean, I like Utah to a degree. Kyle Filipowski, a lot of drama going on there, but I like Filipowski. Filipowski, you grown man just like me, bro. Get up and walk out. But Filipowski, he's a good player. He's a player that I did not think he's a player that I think is a first round talent. And not only a first round talent potential wise, but a first round talent production wise. He's produced a lot at Duke. He was a great player going into Duke, and he kind of just fulfilled the role that he was supposed to fulfill. So, I mean, I can't hate on that. But so him going 32, I like that pick by Utah. They also got Isaiah Collier, who was, one of the lead guards in that USC team with Bronny. So yeah, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, that was some good late first round, early second round picks. The guy they got in the early part of the first round, can't remember his name, but I looked up his stats and the analytics on him, and that's a good pick too. So I think they, kind of went 3 for 3 and got 3 guys that at one point were lottery projections. You can go back months ago, year or two ago, and Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski were top 10 lottery level picks. And so, for whatever reason, the stocks fall and the climate changes. But in my mind, Utah got 3 early first round talents in 32 picks, which is a good night for Utah.
No, I agree. Filipowski, he was under the radar a bit too much to me.
Yeah.
He's a talented player. You watch him at Duke. I mean, he can do a lot of things
All
as a big man. For me, I'm a bit sad with saying this one because it should have been another team,
Yep.
but I got to go with Minnesota.
Yep.
Them sniping Rob Dillingham from the Spurs, who drafted Rob, and then drafting Terrence Shannon with a 27th pick. Those, I talk about being a bona fide scorer. Those are two dudes that you give them the ball, they're going to create something.
Yep.
Obviously, with Dillingham, I think his upside is probably a lot higher than
Yep.
Shannon's just because of his explosiveness. And that's why I say I'm a bit sad saying Minnesota, because can you imagine Dillingham and Wemby? And San Antonio, you
Yep.
draft Stephon Castle. I like the pick. I got no problem with it. But they did need a guard that can create alongside Wemby in the pick and roll, pick and pop, what have you. And then they traded away, and Minnesota gets him, and then they get former Illinois star. And I know that there was some stuff outside of, whatever with Shannon.
Right.
Not going to get into that because I don't even think that that's appropriate to talk about with him. But man, those are two dudes that can hoop. Like straight up, I'm not even going to sit here and act like a super expert. You just watch them with the basketball and you're like, man,
Right.
they know how to score. And they need that. They need that with Anthony Edwards because that playoff run, what did we see with the T-Wolves? They kind of ran into a brick wall. I like Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
I like Naz Reid. I like Rudy Gobert. But Naz Reid can't be your second option, man.
Right.
Like as far as putting the ball on the floor,
Right.
Karl Anthony Towns is realistically your second option. But now you pair Ant with Rob Dillingham, who will definitely get surefire minutes. Now, Shannon, I'm not sure what they'll do with him rotation-wise, but he's got plenty of help now. There's no excuse for that team.
Right. And I love Minnesota probably would have been my pick too, outside of Utah and the Lakers, but I just love the pick because I like when quality guys go into contender situations where they get to contribute. It's one thing if you get picked by a contender, like for example, if you're a team and you get picked to the Boston Celtics, Baylor Shireman from Creighton, Buddy's a great player, but he's not playing next year a lot. You know what I'm saying? And then so it's the Minnesota Timberwolves have a championship caliber team, and Rob Dillingham, who is a top 5, top 10 talent, is about to go and is about to be right on Mike Conley's heels until he retires. So I love that situation. I think Dillingham, like you said, creates. That's all he does. All he does is create. And that's a guy, when there's 5 seconds left in the shot clock, he's got to have the ball. And so I love Dillingham for that reason. I love him in Minnesota for that reason. Like you said, Karl Anthony Towns picks up a couple fouls. You double team Ant-Man. What's the word?
It's done.
So it's like, and I mean, they weren't able to run from that situation because a Dillingham guy is so much. I mean, that's the Energizer Timberwolf, man. So he's gonna be a great piece for him. I really like you said, Terrence Shannon. He'll get some minutes here and there. I'm not as worried about him. Anybody that can go on the court did not make me watch Kyle Anderson play basketball is a win in my book. So I'll take that. I love Naz Reid, but David, you give me a court with Rob Dillingham, Anthony Edwards, Jalen McDaniels, Naz Reid, and Karl Anthony Towns. Man, that's outside of the Lakers. I'm a Hawks fan by geographic association, but I'm watching a lot of Timberwolves games next year for that reason alone, because everybody on the court a nice play, and I like that. So
If I'm playing pickup at the YMCA or some random behind outdoor court, I want Anthony Edwards, Rob Dillingham, and Terrence Shannon. I mean, those are 3 dudes on a pickup court that you can't guard any of them.
I mean, team association dismayed. Rob Dillingham, Anthony Edwards, and Naz Reid are 3 guys that I've watched play basketball for at least 5 years apiece, and I'm a fan of their games individually. So the fact that 3 of them are going to be on the court at the same time with the Defensive Player of the Year and first team all defense, Stephanie Davis, I don't know what you're talking about. That's a phenomenal situation. I'm very, very happy. Minnesota's hitting some, momentum and popularity at the right time.
100%. 100%. Now, this is the part that I've been excited about to talk with you about. The Atlanta Hawks at the first pick in the draft. And obviously DeJounte Murray just got traded.
Right. For
the draft.
Looks
I don't
terrible.
even remember what it was. And they
Exactly.
draft Zachary Reese-Shea. I'm
Yeah.
just going to open the floor up to you, man, because obviously we didn't start with the number one pick, but
Mhm.
here we go. What'd you think?
Yeah, we didn't start with the number one pick because it wasn't exciting. I mean, that's why. I mean, it's of course the Atlanta Hawks, the team that I've geographically associated myself as a fan with for 22 years of life, got the most boring number one pick in I can't remember when. You know, at least when Anthony Bennett got picked way back when, we were turning heads like, oh, Anthony Bennett, da da da.
Yeah.
We somewhat knew who he was, you know, from UNLV. So
Yeah.
I say that I'll circle back real quick. DeJounte Murray, I like the move solely because Atlanta made a move. You know, let's clap it up for Atlanta. They don't make many moves, so I'm glad they made a move. But the reason I hate it, like you said, Devo, you don't know who DeJounte Murray got traded for. I can tell you
Yeah.
what we gave away to get DeJounte Murray. And it's a lot
Yeah.
more than what we got back for DeJounte Murray. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't like we made a move. Okay, I appreciate that we realize we're a mid organization. We got to shake something up. So back to the Reese Shea. I like Reese Shea as a prospect. You know, he's 6'10", very, modern athleticism. He's got potential to be a high volume shooter. So he checks all the boxes. The only kind of gripe I
Right.
had about it was, of course, the Hawks get the pick when there's no Anthony Edwards, there's no Zion Williamson, there's no Victor Wembanyama, there's no Lonzo Ball, XYZ the third, Jason
Yeah.
Tatum,
Yeah.
whatever.
Shout out Lonzo, man.
Shout out Lonzo. I got a name drop when I can. So yeah, I mean the Hawks, they just got a boring number one pick. I'm out of the two, we'll get into the two French guys that went number one and number two. Out of the two French guys, I like Reese Shea a whole lot more than I like Alexander Sarr. So if we were
Mm.
going to get one of them, I like Reese Shea in that spot. But yeah, it's in a perfect world, the Hawks have like the third, fourth pick, and I'm happy with the world. But they got Reese Shea number one. I like the prospect. I'm hopeful and optimistic that he'll pan out. But you got to shake your head a little bit at the lacklusterness of it.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I don't have any problem with Reese Shea. 6'9" frame. He's got a very long wingspan, very rangy athlete,
Yeah.
39% from deep. But the big problem for me that I look at with Reese Shea, I look at his numbers and I watched some tape on him as well. He's not much of a playmaker. And, it was very glaring. That was what a lot of experts even said
Right.
during the draft about Reese Shea. For me, if you're a wing player, I know that that's not your main responsibility. You're really supposed to be 3-and-D and a bit more than that.
Right.
But with the number one pick, you got to have some sort of playmaking.
Right.
So, he can grow into that. I'm not saying that he's never going to be a playmaker because he can,
Right.
but he's not the best with the ball on the floor. He's not the best when it comes to, high level decision making with the basketball. So if he turns out to be a great shooter in the NBA, which he should, I don't see why he wouldn't, then
Mhm.
yeah, I think it'll fit for Atlanta. But I'm with you, man. It's definitely the worst time to have the number one pick
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what it just kind of like shocks me a little bit because I'm not an NBA GM, but out of 29 other organizations, nobody gave you a bid for the number one pick.
Yeah,
And I get it. Even if there were bids, they could have been giving you not a lot in return because they understand it's not a great number one pick, XYZ. But I'm just like, man, I agree with just number one pick in the draft, and you're not a bona fide playmaker. Like what?
yeah,
Victor Wembanyama ain't a point guard. He's a playmaker. Zion Williamson ain't a point guard.
fair,
He's a playmaker. Anthony Edwards is a
fair.
wing. He's a playmaker. So
Yeah,
it's like you don't have to be a guard or a ball guard to be a playmaker. In the eyes of me. But Reese Shea, you 6'10", and you run up and down that court, and you from France. That's three boxes checked by the NBA. So come on ahead and bring it to Atlanta.
well, there you go. You mentioned France. The top 10 picks, there were three selected. Tijon Salon was
Yeah.
also drafted to the Hornets. Love that pick. Probably not going to get into it in today's episode, but I am excited about it. Man, it feels like the French just basketball world is really exploding before our eyes. Obviously, Wemby taking number 1, first 2 picks, taking 1 and 2 in this year's draft. I did some research, and in 1975, right, it was when the Paris-based National Institute of Sport, Expertise, and Performance it's known as INSEP. That's when it started, 1975, and it trained elite athletes across several ports. Tony Parker is now a part of this.
Gotcha.
Obviously, he is the president of a team. It's the ASVEL basketball organization, which, by the way, Risa Shea did play for. Okay. So I'm kind of just opening this up in general, man. Do you feel like this is kind of a rhetorical question because the obvious answer is yes, but I guess when we look at the explosion of European basketball now in the NBA, what do you make of it? I mean, because it's crazy. Alex Sarr and Zachary Risa-Shea, like, it feels like the American talent pool is kind of getting even with the European talent pool.
Yeah, European basketball, I wouldn't say it's an even, playing field yet, because although the draft picks, international versus US, does look a bit more evened out, we got to look at how these guys, end up panning out.
Right.
Say, for the French Revolution, man, they coming. I like it. There used to be more sporadic, guys like Tony Parker, Boris Diaw, XYZ. But, you got Wembanyama, and then you go Alexander Sarr and Risa Shea. I mean, that's 3, right? Boom, top of the list. So I like it. I think the reason the game, I mean, you can go back and look at history lessons about it. I mean, I think when Michael Jordan back in, 80s, 90s, when the NBA became global, that's when basketball became global at a evolutionary level, I think. You kind of look back at some of those teams with, you go back to like Yugoslavia back in the day when they got Vlade Divac and all these other guys. I mean, European basketball is a phenomenal, fundamental team style of basketball. It's a great way. I love the European game, and I think the American game has strayed farther from that. And so therefore the fundamental developmental base layer of hoop skill still remains intact over in Europe. So you see guys like Luka Doncic, yeah, you're 6'8", and you're not in NBA shape in anybody's viewpoint, and you're cooking. So you're Nikola Jokic.
True.
You're not jumping over a phone book, and you're the 2-time MVP. So that European style of basketball is where skills really get brought to light. And now the NBA is kind of getting brought to light about it in the prospect fashion. So I love the European, not invasion, but integration into the NBA. I think it's, seeing, I mean, even Adam Silver a couple years ago when he made some rule changes, those rule changes were based off of FIBA basketball, so it's just kind of the NBA realizes how good of a game is played over in Europe, and they also see how many fundamentally essential skills that Europe still possesses that the NBA, I don't know if they want to get back to it, but a couple of things that they appreciate, and in any way they can, they want that to kind of come over to the US as well in the NBA. So I like it. I think the European guys bring a new perspective to the league, and there's so much exposure now. You can get seen and you can be famous like a Wembanyama before you even touch the NBA court. So we're starting to see these guys a little bit earlier, and it's still an investment, but it's not as much of a project because you know what you're getting a little bit, and they know what they're coming to. So I like it.
Yeah. Well, the word you said that really stuck out is earlier, and that's really the biggest thing with European basketball. When I was talking about INSEP, I did some deeper research. And what they do, part of their, program, they will scout the country, and they'll look, and it's overseas territories. They'll bring in the top 36 boys and the top 36 girls across the country, and they'll bring them to training camps. And then around 20 teenagers are selected from that pool. The scouting there is insane, not to mention you're getting professional level experience. Sometimes with these guys, 15 and 16, which is wild. Yeah. And I think that's why guys like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, they're playing professional ball so early that, they might not be as athletic as a LeBron James in the NBA, but they've got that basketball IQ because, man, they're undersized and they're having to play against grown men fighting for a paycheck every day. I mean, these dudes are paying to keep ramen noodles on their
Right.
tables at the very least. They're paying for their kids to continue to live. Like it's crazy over there. So it's dope. And not to mention, I said Reese Shea and Wemby were coached by Tony Parker. Well, so was Alex Sarr, the number 2 pick. Tony Parker has got his own regime
Right.
inside of that little bubble, man. It's insane, but I love it. I think it's the
Yeah.
best for the game. And Adam Silver talked about that. They want to expand.
Yeah, I think the American system and process to the NBA is a little bit outdated, man. And it's only outdated because of the international trail. I mean, you see a
Right.
guy like Ricky Rubio, homie was playing pro ball 13, 14. When he came to the league, gets picked above Steph Curry, goes to Minnesota, and he cooks. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the international system is just more is focused on professional skill development. The
Yeah.
American system,
Yeah.
school basketball, unless you're playing for a phenomenal coaching staff and a great cultured traditional system, you're playing overtime Instagram basketball to a degree. Then you
Exactly.
go to college and you're playing half court basketball. And if you're not playing half court basketball, you're the Yukon Huskies. So it's like the step to the NBA, you're not playing you might be playing against top quality guys at some academy XYZ, but you're not playing pro basketball until you get to the NBA. And where in Europe, you're playing pro basketball at inset when you're, 11 years old and Tony Parker's your coach. So it's like the European system
Exactly.
just kind of facilitates the basketball part of it. The American system, I think, still focuses a lot on off the court stuff, which is valuable, but that's why an American hadn't gone as the number 1 pick in the past 2 years because because all the focus isn't on the court. But so yeah, so I like the European and more specifically French invasion. But
Yeah. Yeah. And just for clarification, the INSEP is not a team. Tony Parker coached for the ASVEL.
gotcha.
So for any viewers that are watching, the INSEP is more of a wide variety of bringing talent in, but Tony Parker is president of ASVEL, which has been producing a ton of
Yeah.
big time European talent.
Incept. I like Incept. That sounds like the villain syndicate in like Mission
Dude,
Impossible.
that's what yeah, in like a Spider-Man movie or something, bro. Like Oscorp.
Oscorp. To the next topic, we got our select athlete of the episode. It is my turn to pick the select athlete. So I'm going to get into a great story, great player, Mikal Bridges, going to the New York Nova Knicks. Man, I'm excited. I like it. Devin, what's your little take on Mikal going over to New York?
Man, I like it a lot. I
Yeah.
think it's a great move. New York needed another wing that can score. I
Yeah.
like it. OG Anunoby, he is a tremendous defender and he can score the basketball, but not at the rate that Bridges can and not at the rate that they needed to make a deep run in the playoffs. And then obviously, man, the cohesion they already have because these dudes played together at Villanova.
Right.
This lineup, I was looking at their roster. I mean, there's
It's
not a
hard.
lot of room left
It's
on
hard
New
to pick
York.
a five, bro. It's hard to pick a
And
five.
DiVincenzo might be coming off the bench. I don't know that he's going to be a solidified starter now because you already have Brunson, obviously, as your PG. You got Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm.
You have multiple centers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. This team, man, I really like them. And the best part is Bridges is a two-way guy. He's not just doing it on the offensive end. He fits the mold of this team. Gritty, hard nose, can lock you up on the perimeter.
Yep.
So it's a perfect pick. Now, I will say this. They gave up a lot.
They did.
The Nets did. The Nets gave up a lot. I mean, you're looking at 4 unprotected first-round picks, a protected first-round pick from the Bucks, another second-rounder. So
I think I agree with you. It looks like a lot on paper. What I'll say though is when you're an organization like New York and you're a game away from the conference finals, and to be honest, and they would have been in the conference finals. They was healthy, yada yada. But if you're a team and an organization in that spot, yes, 5 or 6 first round picks is a lot, but let's say out of those 6 first rounders, 2 of them are starter level guys. what, and you're taking 6 bodies to get all this production. Go get Mikal Bridges, homie. He's averaging 20
Yeah.
20 a game, can play defense, and he's got all this untrainable chemistry with these guys. That's my take is when you're an organization and your possibility is the NBA Finals right now or a conference finals, whatever. If you got the chance to go get a guy like Mikal Bridges for just picks and you don't have to give up guys that are solidified production players in your lineup right now, I think it's a good move. I do agree. It looks like a lot on paper. That was the first thing I said when I saw the trade was like, oh, first rounder, another first rounder, another first. I get it. It's a lot of first rounders. But that's 6 players, that's 6 first round picks. That's a lot of bodies that production is spread through. That's a lot of, that production is getting condensed right now to Mikal, and he does everything on there. There's nothing on the court that he's not solid at, So, and I like the flexibility. He gives you that small ball 4 action, so if they wanted to go in a, Julius Randle at the 5 or Mitchell Robinson, I know Hartenstein just left for OKC, but he wasn't a, offensive production guy anyway. But, they've got a lot of flexibility, and it's going to be funny to see Mikal Bridges, who has not missed the game in his NBA career, about to team up with 48 minutes a night Tom Thibodeau. That's going to be a battle of human production right there. To see how hard can Bridges go playing for Thibodeau.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I mean, it fits the mold. And Bridges, you mentioned he averages over 20 a game, but he also can play make alongside Brunson.
Yeah.
Just over 3.5 assists a game last year. So it also takes pressure off Jalen Brunson, who, man, he was amazing. And, he caught a lot of people by surprise. But he definitely needs somebody that he can take a second off the ball and just breathe. And Bridges will give him exactly that. So, man, I know the Celtics just won the chip, and I still think the Celtics are for sure the favorite in the East. Now, I know the Sixers, things got interesting. PG is now in Philadelphia, but this Knicks team, adding Bridges, I truly believe they can compete and win against anybody in the East.
Oh, yeah, I want to see I don't think they're going to match up in the finals, but those Timberwolves Knicks games next year, I'm going to be tuning in for that, because I like them matchups. Those 2 teams that got some youth, they're stepping on to, they haven't been a contender team in a while, neither one of them. Minnesota's never been a contender team, but they're getting into it, and those are 2 teams out of the East and West that I love the trajectory and the moves they're making, because I think they know how good they can be.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be fun to watch, man. New York, Stephen A. Smith is probably jumping to the moon right now. I mean, finally, it feels like the Knicks have real promise and not just overblown hype. So it'll be fun for sure.
Good deal.
Y'all already know what time it is. It's unsweet tea time. I got a Dr. Pepper in my hand, but don't you worry. I'm going to start having sweet tea with me for every episode. That boy Chabo, we got the story. We're vibing. Man, the Euros are hurting me, but now so is the Copa America, because U.S. soccer men's team rolls out against Panama. A win likely secures their spot in the knockout round. And what do? They lay an egg.
Yep.
Tim Weah with a red card. We're down to 10 men, and we end up losing 2-1. And now have to face Uruguay later today. And obviously, by the time this episode is out, we'll already been done playing Uruguay. Hopefully it's a win. And if it is, you know what? I'll forget about all the crap that happened earlier in the Copa America. But what are we doing? I mean, how are we so good at every other sport except for the biggest sport in the world? I mean, it genuinely ticks me off.
Yep.
You look at every other country and you watch a soccer game. It is insane. The energy is by far the best thing I've ever seen in sports. It never fails. It never drops off. And the one sport we as Americans decide not to invest in is soccer, the biggest in the world. Why is that? Our men's team trots out there, and Greg Berhalter right now is the coach. He's fighting for his life. If we lose to Uruguay, he should be done in my eyes. But we've got to step it up. I mean, right now, this is a lot bigger than losing a game. You look at France and what they're doing in the basketball culture right now, shaping up the NBA. Why can't we have some sort of developmental program to where we can get kids to grow in the game of soccer, and we can put a product out to the world, specifically the World Cup, which is, by the way, the biggest sporting event in the world, and it's not even close. There's no argument for it. Why can't we put a good team out there? Seriously, what are we doing? I
Yeah.
sit here and watch us lose to Panama. It's ridiculous. It truly is. Christian Pulisic is a good player, but we're playing sloppy against, again, a team that we should have beaten at least 2-0. A red card is not going to help anything. And to make matters worse, we have idiot fans. And I don't even know that I should call them fans, sitting here throwing out racist comments after the game. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Was it a mistake to get a red card? Sure. But don't be an idiot. I mean, really, we make ourselves, and not we, because I'm not a part of it, but this soccer culture is making ourselves look like absolute and utter buffoons right now. Step it up. I mean, these are human beings that you're looking at, and you decide to say some negative things. They're still putting their heart out on the line. I'm not mad at the players on the field for not having the best team because it's not their fault. It's the organization's fault as a whole. Why don't we have a program like INSEP? Let's start Oscorp for soccer. I don't give a crap. Name it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Name it Jimmy Johnson's root canal soccer team. I don't care. But let's do something about putting out a product that we should be happy and excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible, and I'm going to be watching very closely against Uruguay, but I've got a bad feeling.
There you go. I mean, just to be hopeful, devil's advocate, I'm not a fan of U.S. soccer either. I mean, I think what you said, Devo, is a hint why America is not top dog at soccer, because it's the world sport. You look at sports that are American made, basketball, American football, baseball. You can really, I mean, hockey in that area, that's not American made, but a sport that Americans are decent at. But baseball, football, and basketball, you come to America, that's top three. You go to any other country in the world, and basketball might crack top three. So it's the world has been doing this soccer thing for a long, long time. America is the rookie on the soccer block. And when you see us play Panama and Uruguay, we look like the rookie on the soccer block.
Exactly.
But I think your take on why don't we invest in the development of our, youth soccer programs, I think that trend is coming on
It's
a
getting
little
better.
bit. I
It is.
think that problem has been recognized a few years ago, but I think it's going to take a little while longer for us to truly see the fruition of that trend and changing of development. But yeah, that doesn't make right now any less frustrating. We're United States of America. We got athletes on every corner. We can't find 11 of them to, put together a soccer program, but we both know it's not that easy. But yeah, so I mean, I think that's what it kind of boils down to too, is America is the rookie on the soccer block, and so that, or the football block, we got to call it. We keep getting beat by Panama and Uruguay. We got to call it what it is. We on the football block and we getting beat up. So America, yeah. I'm not doing an unsweet tea segment today, but I can vicariously live through the U.S. soccer program, which is not doing too hot.
I mean, it has me to the point where I don't even know what the heck I just said on that rant. I mean, I said Jimmy Johnson's root canal. I mean, it's got me throwing out just words that come to my mind and names because I've got no clue what the heck we're doing out here. I mean, as a soccer fan, it'd be really nice to feel good about our teams, and I really never do. And I can't remember the last time I have. So outside of Tim Howard, who was a hero for the American soccer team, man, we got to figure it out. Yeah. But on the other side of football, I guess America is pretty good at what Americans would call real football, and the NFL and college football rules the world.
Yep.
Which brings us to the next segment, comments from the comments. This one is from my boy Ben Tyndall. Shout out, Ben. Love you, man. And I love this question. It's college football related, and he asked, who has the best chance to win the Heisman? Not best odds, but like personally, who has the best chance to win the Heisman in our opinion?
Yeah. I like the question, Ben. It automatically jumps to my mind. The Heisman has really become a quarterback award. That's kind of what I hate. I wish other guys would get some love with it. But it's a quarterback award right now. So the first names that jump in my mind is a carousel of SEC quarterbacks, because the SEC is loaded at the quarterback position this year. I think you can, my pick, if I had to make a call, because it's the number one team in the nation, because they're hungry, because of last year, XYZ in the third, and I share four letters of my last name with this joker. I think Carson Beck is, probably number one odds. Shout out to Carson Beck. I don't think he's the best athlete in the world. I don't think he's the best, quarterback looking prospect in the world, but he's on the best team and he gets the job done. So I like Carson Beck as a prediction. I mean, you can go back to Jalen Milroe and look in that era. I like Milroe. We talked about in previous episode about the state of Alabama football. They're going to be a good team, but you just lost the biggest coach in college football history. So there's an element of unpredictability with it. But Milroe is the contender, don't get me wrong. And then I like Jackson Dart over at Ole Miss and Quinn Ewers at Texas. I think those four are the carousel that come to my mind. I think Dart may get a little overshadowed because he's not at the Texas, Georgia, whatever. But it's Ole Miss and they're a top 10 team and they got every branding guide in the book to be on national TV every week. So he'll get his looks. But yeah, so I mean, outside of the SEC carousel, I mean, I like Travis Hunter, Georgia athlete himself. He's not in the SEC, but he's from the South. So I like Travis Hunter. Colorado's got a huge level of unpredictability, a lot of movement, shifting going on there. So you never know. Travis Hunter's a dog, no matter who he's playing for, but he's a guy that's got a shot at the Heisman, of course. He's going to go out there and ball. But can he do it consistently at the Heisman level? That's what, if he wants to be in this conversation, that's what it's going to take since he's not a quarterback.
Yeah, man, I like those names, and I have a list. A few of the names you mentioned, I do have on mine. I think Milroe, he has a chance because I think Kalen DeBoer's system will give a lot of freedom for Milroe to be an athlete more than a pocket passer. I think he was a bit restricted at Bama, and then when it was opened up, you said, "Oh my goodness, this guy is dangerous." When you let him use his feet a bit more and create outside the pocket, so I like that name. I like Travis Hunter again. We don't know what to expect with Colorado, but Shore Sanders is cold, and to me, he's the best QB in the class. But, man, I'm going to be honest, and this is a name you didn't mention, but I think Cam Ward is a sleeper pick that not only has a good chance, I think he has a great chance.
Yeah.
Last season, 3,735 yards, 25 touchdowns. Not to mention now at Miami, which I was hoping Ohio State would get Cam Ward. They didn't. Obviously, they got Will Howard. Now at Miami, he has a top-rated receiver trio in the ACC. Xavier Restrepo, 85 receptions, 1,092 yards with 6 touchdowns. Jacoby George, 57 receptions, 864 yards, 8 touchdowns. Sam Brown, 62 receptions, 815 yards, 3 touchdowns. I throw those stats out there to say he's got guys with him. Obviously, at Miami, man, this is a team that has been on the cusp, and every year it feels like this is the chance. This is when they break through in the ACC. I genuinely believe they can do it this year. Their offensive line is supposed to be one of the best in the conference. They have a great running back duo, Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher. And here's the biggest point to me. They have the talent, and I think their schedule favors Cam Ward a good bit. Yeah. They're going to open up against Florida. That's an ABC game to start things off. A lot of eyes will be on that matchup, and it's a winnable game. Then they play Florida A&M, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, which will be a tough one, Cal, Louisville, and then the back half, FSU, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. So not saying it's an easy schedule because, Florida State's going to be a tough out. Duke is going to be tough, obviously, with Riley Leonard. Yeah. So, those guys will be definitely a mountain to climb, but I think it's possible. This Miami team really should be very good. I'm excited about Restrepo. They bring in the transfers to help him out. Man, and Quinn Ewers is the other name to me. Of course, he had a good year last season, over 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But they added Isaiah Bond from Alabama. You talk about a playmaker on the outside, plenty of speed, And then they also added Matthew Golden, transfer from Houston, who had 38 receptions, 404 yards. When you lose A.D. Mitchell on Texas and you lose a lot of the big names that Longhorns squad had, yeah, there's going to be fear, but they've restocked.
Right.
I think Ewers, especially now that he has multiple years under his belt, he knows what it takes.
Yeah.
He's going to be hungry to get back to the pinnacle and hopefully a national championship for the Texas faithful.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's Cam Ward and Quinn Ewers. I'll throw out some, maybe names. I do think Will Howard has a shot because of Ohio State's
right
ridiculous receiving room. I mean, it's crazy the embarrassment of riches that he has around him. And then the other Ohio State product that they picked up, transfer from Ole Miss, Quinshawn Judkins. That dude is filthy. So those are two names. Travis Hunter, I mentioned. I really don't know with him, but he definitely could. So, yeah, Ewers and Ward to me, man, those are the two that I really like in this class.
And the ceiling for both of them is a Heisman Trophy, because I'm like, we talked about it in a previous episode, Texas in general. When you was in the Texas Longhorn, bro, this is sink or swim this year. Like you stepping into the SEC, Quinn Ewers, this is your year. If you make it happen, you're on the biggest stage. You know what I'm saying? You in the middle of the stage, the light is as bright as it's going to get, and everybody's looking at you. So, Ewers has the opportunity, no doubt. I think Cam Ward, you had a great breakthrough or breakdown of him. I think the ACC serves Cam Ward well, in the sense that it's on a respectable stage that is the ACC. In the Power Four conferences that are left, so he's in that group, but he's not on the SEC Big Ten level where he's playing barbarians every week. But he's also he's at a Miami. That's a nice culture. They ain't done too much in recent years, but he's in a good system traditionally and culturally. And he's in the ACC. You're gonna have to go out and play Florida State one week, but then you're gonna get South Florida, the Citadel, and Root Beer's Root Canal on week 4. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're gonna get some good tests, good game. Florida week 1 is gonna be a game I'm definitely tuning into. So you're getting some good tests and some respectable opportunities, but then you get some weeks where you get to kick back and show what you've been working on. So I think Cam Ward and Ewers are definitely respectable answers. I'm gonna keep Carson Beck's name in there just because number 1 team, number 1 quarterback. Let's do it. So I like our answers for sure. But every guy that we mentioned out of the top 4 or 5, they have the opportunity to go win a Heisman Trophy. So it's something, other things and factors may contribute to why they don't, and only one of them can get it. But they're all in situations from on the outside looking in are set up to win a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah. Now, if we put Travis Hunter in that list, and Colorado does really good, Fedor Sanders is the other name I will throw out there just because, again, I think he's the best quarterback in college football now. I firmly believe that too.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and go on a breakdown of Shedeur Sanders and why he's a great QB because that's not the topic. But, there's a lot of guys this year. That's what's fun, I think, about this college football season specifically is with the conference realignment, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do think it provides for a wide pool of, we don't know who is going to be the top dog. Yeah. And that's exciting for me. Yeah. So I think Carson Beck, man, I'm not going to sit here and act like he doesn't have a shot. I'm not faulting him for being on a great team in Georgia, but at the same time, even when I watched him last season, it's kind of similar to the QBs of the past where I never felt like Stetson should have even been in the Heisman race, because he was a product of a great team more than anything. Now Beck is better in my eyes, but that's a name too that for sure he's got the lowest odds right now, or he has the highest odds to win it.
Right.
So obviously the most favorite QB is the man in Carson Beck.
There we go. All right, y'all, let's get it. High Five, episode 3. I usually let Davo pick these categories, but I told him a couple hours ago, I said, let's do this one. Top 5 sports uniforms of all time. Big question, loaded question. This list may go, it may extend, it may be a double top 5. We may have to fit 10 on here. But we got the top 5 sports uniforms off the top. Davo, you tell them what you think.
I mean, bro, this is about as loaded of a question as you're going to find because there's so many great options. I had to leave out a ton of
Yeah.
unis that I'm like, man, I feel like that has to be in the top 5. But then I think of another uni, I'm like, nah, that has to be in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to start it off and go ahead and rep my Atlanta Braves. And
Okay.
it's not even biased. I genuinely believe these white home unis are the coldest in the MLB. Slick design. The red clashes perfectly with the black and white.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, I love them, bro. They're just classic. And, maybe part of it is because I grow up near Atlanta, go to Braves games. But how many people
It's
do
your
you see
list,
that aren't even Braves fans that
man.
will wear an Atlanta hat, that will wear an Atlanta jersey? I mean, bro, the Braves are countrywide, feel like a big culture.
Yeah.
A lot of people rock with their gear. So, man, I'd have to start off with, of course, the jersey I'm wearing and my ATL Braves.
There you go. Shout out to the ATO Braves. I'm gonna pick one. This has been one of my favorites for all time, ever since I was a kid. Down in Florida, I'm gonna go with the creamsicle Tampa Bay Buccaneer
Yeah.
uniforms, man. That's one of the
Yeah.
boy. There ain't nothing cooler than a creamsicle ice cream in this South Georgia, South Florida heat, and there ain't nothing cooler than a creamsicle Buccaneer uniform back in the '80s, man. That's beautiful. So I'm gonna take the creamsicle Buccaneers.
I mean, those are definitely like if you look at any list online, because I did look
Mm,
up, top uniforms just to see what other people thought. And of
right.
course, the creamsicles, man, those are
They're
so classic. I
beautiful.
mean, when you're playing on Madden, bro, and you choose the Bucks, and you're
Woo!
like, I gotta run with the creamsicles. Them
Absolutely.
joints are cold, bro.
Yeah, no, I
They're
love it.
cold. That's a great pick. And classic cannot go wrong.
There we go.
I'm gonna say, and you might even have this one on your list already too. The purple and gold Los Angeles Lakers, specifically their gold jerseys, man. Gold, yellow, whatever color you want to say.
I like that.
Especially the Kobe era. The
Yeah,
Kobe era of
yeah.
the Lakers yellow jerseys, man. Oh my gosh. They're too classic.
That's good. I'm gonna have another pick after this, but I'm gonna name drop this one specific uniform because I saw it worn one time on court. It's when second name drop of the episode. Shout out Lonzo Ball. When he was in Los Angeles playing with UCLA, they wore a white uniform with gold letters, and I forget the color of the trim. I'll put a picture on the episode so they can see what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But them Lonzo UCLA yellow letters, boy, that was nasty. And but you saying the gold in LA made me think of that one. Um, Next one I'm thinking of, I'm gonna go NFL back to back. Man,
Okay.
the Kelly Green Philadelphia Eagles, man, that's one of my favorites. I used to not
Yeah.
be a green color guy as
Yeah. Yeah.
as I've grown older and seen a lot. I love a good green uniform. I got another green uniform I'm gonna mention in a little bit, but them Kelly Green Eagles, yeah, I'm gonna say that that's on my list.
No, those are tough. This one's not on my list, but it reminds me of it. The black old school ATL uniforms. I kind of think of those in the same gear
Mm.
because they're simple jerseys. They don't have like a ton of design or anything, but something about them, the trim on the numbers, the colors, it pops perfectly.
Yeah,
That's another classic. I mean, it's hard to go wrong
yeah,
with those. And I'm writing these down because we're gonna flesh out a top 5
yeah,
from what we say for sure.
yeah.
Man, I'll stay with the football trend. And this is kind of a recent one for me that over the past few years, I've just been like, man, I love that jersey.
Mhm.
And it's because of Patrick Mahomes partially. But them white Chiefs unis, bro.
There you go.
Ooh,
There you go.
so fine. I
No.
mean, that red and that yellow.
Hmm. Look, man, look like Ronald McDonald playing quarterback out there, man, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
it- I mean, like they're funky colors. And you
Yeah,
would think that it would look clownish, and kind of silly, but it works.
Yeah. When you see them jokers run out at Arrowhead Stadium, there's not a more aesthetically pleasing look, man, than that right there. So yeah,
No,
I love the Chiefs
no,
for sure.
love them, bro. I love them.
Let me think what else I want to go with. I'll go with the other green pick I was talking about. You remember the kind of, I don't know if it's lime green, but kind of that lime mint green Pistol Pete Hawks jerseys.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of goes like that.
Well, it's the one. It's because
Yeah,
they had a white
yeah,
one with the green stripe. They had a blue
yeah,
with the
yeah,
green stripe. I'm talking about the green one with the blue stripe. And man,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful right there. I love. They brought him back a couple years when the Hawks had like Sharif Abdur-Rahim. I've got a picture of that one, but it's beautiful. That so the 2 for 2 on green Hawks and Eagles. Yeah, I like those.
Hey, two ATLs too.
Yeah, there you go.
Hawks and the Braves, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick with basketball, and this one, obviously, I'm about to be working at James Madison, so I'm gonna go with the JMU basketball jerseys, and
okay.
you can go either. You can go home or away, but I mean the colors, that purple, man,
Yeah.
it looks beautiful. That purple and gold with JMU across the chest, you
Hmm.
cannot go wrong in my eyes with those unis. So I'm gonna rep the home brand in JMU, and I'll throw that on my list. I don't know if it makes our top five, but I gotta throw it out there at least.
I'll play the bias ping pong with you. That Charleston Southern's men's basketball uniform. Luckily, I'm getting to work with Charleston Southern men's basketball. Shout out, go Buccaneers! But Davo, I gotta send you a picture of these unis, bro. Man, the font of the Charleston Southern, man, and the white, when you know a uniform pretty when the white
Yeah,
uniform look good. It's easy to add some crazy
yeah,
color to the color, but when the
true,
white one
true.
good, that's classic. And man, we got a white one and a navy one. Beautiful. I'll put a picture on the episode, but I'll send you one too. And things is
Which
pretty.
I ain't gonna lie. Personally, I'm a sucker for white jerseys specifically. Like
Right.
to me, most jerseys, because you had the same layout for the most part, home and away, but most jerseys look much better in white. And so I tried to keep my list like varied and not just all the white jerseys, but
Right.
in the white JMUs,
That's tough.
we're gonna throw pictures on here so people can see the unis.
Yep.
But Charleston Southern and JMU, I mean, those are two good picks because I've seen a picture, and I don't know if it's the same jersey that you're
Right.
referring to, but they look good, at least from what I know.
Right.
Because I think you posted one on the graphic.
Yeah, you think I used one too. That's the Navy ones, but I'll send you a picture of the
Yeah,
ones we got for this season that I saw last week. Boy, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
that's a bet. That's a bet.
All right.
Man, how about you probably ain't gonna like this one. And a lot of people, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
Right.
But Tennessee's football unis.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's one of them things where I the Tennessee orange doesn't make my heart grow warm, but I appreciate the boldness and the look of it. It's a brand thing, it's an identity thing, and it doesn't look it's not, it's not, terrible to look at. I like it. I appreciate it.
yeah. I mean, especially when they walk in to their home stadium
Yeah.
in Neyland, bro,
Mhm.
with the checkered end zones, and then you see them roll out, and either their orange unis or their white unis with the orange numbers,
Yep.
the aesthetic, just like you mentioned with Arrowhead and the Chiefs.
Yep.
I mean, it's just beautiful, bro. Now, again, any Georgia fans listening to this, watching this, they're not gonna like that take, and I
Right.
understand that,
Right.
but I can't lie. I really do love the Tennessee unis.
Right. Well, that's a good one. Shout out to the Vols. I respect the Vols. Let me think what I want to go with next. I mean, I'm gonna throw this one out there just because it's an undeniable classic. North Carolina Tar Heels, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Carolina Blue.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
it. You know it's nasty when it looks good on the football field. It look good on the basketball court. It look good on the baseball diamond. I don't know what teams they got at North Carolina, but they look good. And so that's
yeah, yeah.
UNC Carolina Blue. Can't beat it, man. I mean, you can beat
No,
it.
I agree.
It's number one on the list. It can't be beat, but Carolina Blue is too classic not to be on here.
I mean, that was right there on my list too of UNC. That's a classic, classic
Right.
uni. And again, every sport. That's what's crazy to me. I personally don't love Tennessee's basketball jerseys. I like their colors, but I don't think their jerseys are amazing. I love the Vols script that they have, but I don't think they wear those all the time. But man, UNC, you roll out in that baby blue on the football field, you
Yeah.
roll out on on the basketball court.
That's
I
where it
mean, you
shines.
can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And obviously, the basketball unis are that's the pinnacle
Right.
of their jerseys. But their baseball unis are tough too.
Uh,
Don, that's a great pick.
for
I
sure.
personally, I've said the five that I put down, so I'm ready to throw these in rankings.
Let me think.
Uh,
I'm gonna throw out two more just for
okay,
consideration. I'm gonna throw
okay,
out the Yankees pinstripe,
yeah, pinstripe, yeah, yeah,
and I'm gonna throw out the purple dinosaur Raptors jerseys from the T Mac Vince Carter days. I
okay,
like them too.
okay.
Put them in consideration. I ain't gonna die on them,
No, 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 yeah.
but I like
Well, shoot, I was thinking about the Vancouver Grizzlies unis too. I
tough.
think that's one I'll throw that in consideration
Yeah,
because
tough.
I know a lot of people have been wearing those
Yeah,
over the past few years. I mean, it's always been a cold jersey, but I
right.
feel like people are really starting to take notice.
Yeah,
Um, Man, bro, see, this is the problem with this top five. It's such a good,
yeah,
like, there's so many good ones that it's hard to say no to, a Lakers
right.
home uni or say no to the creamsicles, but something's got to give.
Hmm.
So the question is, what are we willing to scrap out?
Okay,
What's just like,
let me think. Let me think what I'm thinking like a non-negotiable. I think creamsicle Bucks, Kelly Green Eagles. I'm a Kentucky fan, so if UNC falls out the top five, I ain't never mad. Yeah, creamsicle Bucks, Kelly Green Eagles. Let's put those in the top for sure. And then you
yeah,
work out what you thinking for the other three.
yeah, no, I was gonna say the creamsicle has to be in the top five. We can't eliminate that one, man. I think the Lakers have to be in the top five. I
Okay.
think that they're too classic and they're just too beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Like they never look bad,
Yeah.
ever.
And the more classic we go, the better they get, to my opinion. I like
Yeah, 100%.
the yellow and purple, like Afro
Yeah,
color. Man.
yeah. So
Yeah.
let's say creamsicle, and this isn't in any particular order yet, but we'll go creamsicle,
Uh-huh.
Kelly Greens, the
Gotcha.
Lakers, and this is where it gets tough.
Yeah,
This is where I'm like,
yeah, we do got some good ones, man. Let's throw the UNC in there.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Let's throw UNC in the top, and then about that fifth consideration spot. I don't know, D. I'm
See,
thinking.
it's not. I'm willing to rule out Tennessee football. I don't think. I
I
don't
think.
think they compare to some of the other jerseys we got.
I
I'll
think.
throw that out. I love JMU. I'll throw JMU out.
Right.
To me, man, right now I'm thinking personally between the Braves and the Yankees because we already got two football. I love the Chiefs unis, but I don't even think they
Yeah, about to say we got
compare to
two
the
football.
Braves or the Yankees.
Yeah, we got two football, two basketball. Down the line, we may come back and do this again for soccer because soccer has some of the best uniforms in the world.
Bro, it's why I didn't put any of them on there because I was like, I
Yeah,
mean, that's a whole nother.
exactly. Yeah, I'll either Yankees or Braves. I'm cool with either answer. You pick.
I don't want to seem like a homer, man, but I personally
Go
do
Braves, Davo. Go.
like. I like the Braves unis more than I like the Yankees unis. Just the way they look.
Yeah, I
I mean, the
agree.
Yankees, you have all the legends that played for them, and the
Right,
pinstripes are dope.
right.
But I
But
think as a uni, bro, man, you can't go wrong with this.
nope, you can't. I like that. Let's do that. Cool. So, Creamsicle, Kelly Green, Lakers, Carolina Braves. I like that. So let's think. Number one, I'll let you rank them, D, and if I have an objection, I'll make an objection. But who you got number
Okay,
one?
okay. I'm gonna start five
Okay.
and work that way.
Okay.
Just 'cause it's easy for me. I think Kelly Greens are number five.
I respect that.
I like the Kelly Greens, but
Yep.
when I look at the other unis, I can't put them over UNC or Los Angeles.
Right.
I'm gonna go Kelly Green.
Hmm.
I say the Braves,
Okay.
UNC,
Okay.
Creamsicle,
Oh, like,
LA.
okay. I'm sitting here. I'm like, all right, do I want to?
But the 1 and 2, like I can see Creamsicle being number 1 too,
Yeah,
man.
let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do Creamsicle one specifically for this reason. Like you said with the Yankees uniform, a reason the Yankee uniform is so legendary is because all the guys that's put it on. A reason
Exactly.
the Laker uniform is beautiful by itself, but a reason the Laker uniform is so beautiful is because of what guys put it on. Tell
Yeah.
me one
Yeah.
person that played for the Creamsicle Bucks,
Fair. That's fair.
and it's
That's a
in
good point.
number one
That's a
contender
good point.
because that uniform is
Yeah.
objectively crazy.
No, I agree. I agree.
All right.
I like this list.
Yeah,
Creamsicle,
Creamsicle.
LA,
Yep.
UNC,
Yep.
Braves,
Kelly G.
and then the Kelly Green.
That's
That's
perfect.
a cold list, bro.
That's a
That is a cold. And look, there's gonna be people watching this episode that are sitting here going, man, how did y'all leave X, Y, and Z out? If we left one out that you think we should have mentioned, let us know.
Mhm.
Comment DM us on Instagram, whatever,
And
because I'm curious to hear other people's thoughts, honestly.
yeah, and if you come in these comments and say we dead wrong, make your own podcast and send me the link. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But that's what we do it for. That we
On
get on
me.
camera and yeah, Yankees, Braves. What we going with? We from Georgia. We picking the Braves.
We going ATL, man.
All right, this the Chabo and
I
Dave
love it.
table, man. We rocking with who we rocking with. So we good. Yeah.
I love it, man.
Mhm.
We've been rolling. That's episode 3.
Yeah.
Now in the books. Again, if there is anything y'all want us to talk about, something y'all would love to see us do or, add to the podcast, let us know. Remember, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We're going to continue to roll these out, man. What a blast. Like, we were just like, screw it. We're going to do it.
And we
And
do
now we're doing it.
it. And it's easy. It's easy. And it's easy money. So good deal.
Easy like a Sunday morning.
Easy like a Sunday morning. You rocking with Chavo and Dabo every morning is Sunday morning. So episode 3 out the way, 3 up, 3 down. Check in with us. Episode 4. Follow us on Instagram. Keep updated. Tell your mama you love her. We out of here.
Elbow
Elbow room.